everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly. I'm a science fiction and fantasy writer. I'm an award-nominated poet, and we're going to talk about my two upcoming novels in this video. This video will either be a really long update because I have so many updates, or it'll just be the start of a vlog. So, oh my god, okay, where to begin? I have a list of notes I want to talk about here, and we're gonna do it now. We're just gonna do it. So I'm currently working on two books. I'm working on this one that I plan on self-publishing and a young adult fantasy that I hope to, well, no, I'm gonna query it this year, I think. Let's talk about the young adult fantasy first. So this young adult fantasy, if you aren't familiar, this is the second draft that I am working on, and I work on my books in chunks, especially when I revise. When I do my self edits, I break down the whole book into like little chunks. So like act 1, act 2, act 3, act 4, and then within, for example, act 2, I'll break it down to even further chunks, and I'll do like rounds of revisions on it. And this doesn't make any sense. I don't know how to explain it. To be honest, I did the same thing with this book. It's just the way I revise. I have to strip it down to a few chapters, and I like do rounds of revisions on those chapters before moving on. The first round of revision is usually a check to make sure the structure is correct, and then the second round is usually to do a light line level edit. I say light line level edit because I draft very lean and I draft very dirty. What does that mean? I feel like my zero drafts, and when I mean zero draft, I don't mean the entire book. Like when I write something like a chapter or a scene, it comes out very choppy. It comes out in like prosy bullet points almost. And my first round of revision is really taking those prosy bullet points and turning into like some sort of prose. And then my second, which is called the light line level edit, I'll take those like prosy, like it's still not quite readable, if that makes sense. Even though I had turned those bullet short notes into long sentences, they're not necessarily readable. I guess I don't have to break it apart into these two different stages, but that just works better for me because I like to keep that first round of revisions just to do a basic check to make sure that the story structure is correct, and I built the chapter and I sculpted the chapter to what I want it to be, instead of like writing like a lot of readable lovely lines, you know. I just do that instead. I don't know if any of that made sense, but that's what I have been doing for this young adult fantasy. And the chunk of chapters we're working on right now is 11 to 16, which is what I would say the 30 to the 50% mark of the book. And last week I had a little writing retreat to myself. It wasn't really a writing retreat too much because I was meeting up with a lot of people, but I tried to work on my writing as much as possible. So last week on my writing retreat, which I took off work, I work a 9-to-5 job, I tried to focus on my books. So I did the first round of revisions for all those chapters. So now all the chapters in 11 to 16, they're sound, the structure is good. And now I'm working through each chapter and building up the prose and the line level so the book has some emotional impact. I, again, don't know if this makes sense. Starting this week, I'm going through each chapter and I'm gonna line level edit it, yeah, just a little bit to make it more prosy. And we just wrapped up chapter 11, so we have 12 to 16 left. I don't know if I'm gonna do these in order. I thought I wasn't, but then I just did 11 this morning and last night, and like, I love it. I love this book so much. So now like I want to go through each chapter in chronological order just so I can read the book. One of the reasons why I don't line level edit in order is because I want to make sure each chapter shines through. Actually really funny. One of the first kinds of feedback I got in my writing was in middle school, I think, and the teacher was like, you rushed your ending. And I kind of do that sometimes. Like I'll perfect like the first few pages or first few whatever, and then like at the end I get a little sloppy. I'm worried I'm gonna do that, so I want to make sure each chapter gets its own attention and its own focus. So that's why I was thinking of doing it non-chronologically for these light line level edits. Try saying that like 5 times. It's not easy. My plan for this book is that I want to query it by like July, August. Ideally, I would like to send this draft out to betas like April, May, get feedback. And when I get feedback, I'm just going to implement like their biggest change, like their biggest notes. And then I'm going to query this like immediately. I've decided that literally last night in the shower when I was thinking about this book, because I am kind of done with this book. I've been working on this book, if you don't know, for like years and years and years. It just got stretched out because I did so many like little stupid side quests in between working on this book, and obviously I work a full-time job, and so I just feel like I'm ready to move on, and I'm the type of person who will just query it, like just because like the thing is, my first 10 pages, they're so polished. They've been read by Maggie Stiefvater, they've been read by Aiden Thomas. I've had so much feedback. I have my synopsis, I have my query, like everything's ready to go. I just need to complete the second draft, like the entirety of it, not just the first half or not just the first quarter, like all of it. So that's what the plan is. So I really need to focus to make sure I can get beta feedback so I can send this to beta readers by April, May, or whatever I was saying. Considering it's February, it's fine. Like if we don't hit that date, it's fine, but that's the plan. And while I'm querying it, actually, that's when I'll make their other changes, because obviously agents take forever to get ready. Take forever to respond to you. And usually there's like a 4 to 6 month queue when you send out your query. So I think it's going to be slow going. I just want to send the few queries out. And obviously if an agent does request for a book, like I'll have the book ready, obviously, but it's like the little stuff that I think I'm going to implement throughout the querying process, and perhaps maybe some line level changes. So that's the plan. Also, I have a few more things that I want to talk about, but I see that my memory card is getting filled up. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. My face is like so puffy. I think it's because I'm a little sick. You could probably hear it. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say word count. So with my young adult fantasy, I was actually really worried about word count because I thought my book was gonna be short for traditional publishing standards. But I found out some crazy news yesterday, and maybe this is my fault for not looking into this, but most agents apparently are asking for shorter and shorter and shorter word counts for not only young adult fantasy, but adult fantasy. So I actually think I'm good. For a while, I was like, okay, I think this book is gonna end at like 80K. And then I was like, wait, it might be 85K. But now that we are in, like, I'm literally at 43.7, and we're still on chapter 12, like doing the line level changes, I'm pretty sure by the time I hit the midpoint, it's gonna be about, 45, I think, maybe even 46. And I know my last half of the book is gonna be really, really fast. There's a lot going on. And I know my first half is longer than my second half. There's just so much more build up. And I think after the midpoint, it's gonna go really, really fast. To be honest, the same is happening with this book as well. I don't know if that's like a weakness of mine that I need to work on, or I have too much of a buildup and things are too fast at the end. I don't know yet. So whatever, the whole point is that I think I don't need like more than 30K after the midpoint. And if the midpoint is at 45, the whole book, the whole draft will end at 75K. I don't know. I thought that was really short. Like I really thought that was really short. And I did raise this concern to Maggie Stiefvater like 2 years ago. And she actually said that's fine. She said that because I'm a debut author and because this book is standalone, it's easier to sell that way. But that was 2 years ago. So I was surprised to hear that now agents are looking for shorter and shorter fantasy books. That like adult fantasy books, you should be aiming for under 100K. I was shocked to hear that. I don't know a single adult fantasy book that's below 100,000 words. Maybe upon submission, like on sub, it has to be under 100K, and you can work with that with your editor. I was surprised. So I'm really looking forward to like drafting the rest of this book for the young adult fantasy, because I think the ending is a lot clearer to me and I think I can be a lot faster at it. And if you're wondering why am I writing like new chapters, it's mostly that the draft before this one for my young adult fantasy, it's not very good. So I'm pretty much doing a whole rewrite. That's what this draft is. I'm just rewriting the first draft plus like doing some more structural self-edits. So anyway, that was extremely long-winded. Anything else I had to say for this book? Yeah, this book, I stand by what I said last time, that this book is hard for me to write. Like fantasy is so hard for me to write compared to contemporary. Oh my god, my hair is like, what's going on? Here, let me do this really quick. It just feels like I have to use 200% of my brain when I'm working on the fantasy, but when I'm working on this book, for example, it's so much more fun for me. I use like 90% of my brain. I don't think any book is easy to write, but fantasy is objectively harder. It's just so much harder. I feel like, and I said this in my last video too, that I'm holding a bunch of stuff. Like I'm a waiter holding a bunch of stuff on my hand, all the plates that's being added onto me as I, do my full service meal. Everything just adds on to one another. There's world building and there's magic. It's a whole thing. I'm so excited to be done with this. But yeah, we are full steam focused on the young adult fantasy, but I do have to talk about this book out as well, the one I want to self-publish, because I have even more updates for this one. My goal for like the writing retreat I had last week when I was away was to work on the young adult fantasy, and I did work on it, but then I was just called to this project. Now I'm not saying too much about this. It's kind of secret, but you can kind of probably guess what the genre is based on what I was saying. And this book, this is actually the first 50% of this novel. With this draft, I'm doing exactly what I said. Like with this draft, I'm doing what I said that I'm doing with the young adult fantasy, meaning that I wrote the initial first draft. It was kind of like a prosy outline. I went back in, I made it more readable, and then that's when I printed out this book because I kind of got stuck at the midpoint. But then I gave the first chapter to one of my besties to read, and she gave me feedback. So in this draft, I'm starting over from the beginning. I'm like adding her feedback throughout the story and some more self-edits I did. So I did that last week, and we did like 10,000 words in like 2 days. I was shocked. I was blowing through the book. I was reading it. I was enjoying it so much. It's not a heavy edit at all. I'm pretty much just reading it for fun and like tweaking the lines here and there, adding feedback from my friend, and I had to put a pause on that though, but that does not mean I did not put a pause on working on this overall book. So I plan on self-publishing this novel, and I don't think anything will change my mind about that. Even if I get an agent with the young adult fantasy, I still want to self-publish this because I just want to do it. And there's no other book I can best do it with than this one. Hold on, I just blow my nose. I got sick twice in November, and I got sick again in January. That's how you know I have the immune system of a Victorian child right now. Oh my God, I hope it's not like this going forward. What am I saying? Oh my God, what am I saying? This book, self-publishing. So I did a lot of research on self-publishing actually the week that I was away, the week that was my writing retreat. I knew a lot about self-publishing, I think more than the average writer, because I was working as a freelance editor in the past. I copy edited and line edited and like development edited over a dozen books for indie authors. So I have familiarity working with indie authors, and more than that, I watch a lot of Katie Wismer's videos, and Katie Wismer has a Patreon. She paused it indefinitely right now, but she had a Patreon where she went into depth with her self-publishing career. So I knew a lot just from like consuming her videos, working with indie authors, but there were still some things I didn't really know that well, like what is draft to digital, what is Ingram Spark, how much do you make from books? I didn't know that. What else didn't know? Like ISBNs, like what do I do? Do ebooks need ISBNs? So I did a lot of research on that and figured out a lot of things. I planned out my self-publishing schedule. That's effectively what I did. I think I want to self-publish this February 2028 because I would rather hold back books than publish them early and have readers wait a year or two while I don't make any money at all. I just would rather just wait because I don't care about publishing soon. Like, I don't care about that. And I figured out, my strategy. So I decided I'm going to be KU only for ebooks. And then I'm going to use Ingram Spark for wide distribution of paperbacks. I made a list of expenses, and I'm actually going to go through that. So I hope no one minds while I talk about self-publishing for a little bit. For self-publishing, I have 3 book costs and I have 2 publishing costs, and I didn't include marketing. So I'm going to tell you all the numbers right now. For the book costs, I only have an editor for proofreading. As you heard, I am an editor myself, and at first I was a little hesitant to not work with a copy editor because I've never really copy edited my own book before, and I was really worried that I would get caught up on the line level and I would get caught up in the story. And if I'm getting to the point of copy editing, that means I would have read the book like a million times. And if I didn't catch errors before, like how would I catch now? So I had all these doubts in my head, but then I added up how much a copy editor would be. And I don't think it's worth it for me at all. A copy editor would be about $900 something dollars. And this book, I think it's going to be around 80 to 85K. I think maybe 85K. So I didn't think that was worth it. And I just have to believe in my skills and my skill sets. Obviously, I've done this for other authors before. And actually, one of my indie authors emailed me. He's been nominated for so many awards. And he emailed me that he thinks he got nominated because his copy was so clean. And obviously, I did his copy edits. So that's something I'm definitely really proud of. So I know I can do it. I just need to focus. Maybe I'll copy edit like in Kindle, or I'll export it somewhere else. I'll put it in different, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it though, because I don't want to spend that money. Obviously, I still want someone to look at the book, so I'm going to hire a proofreader at the end just to make sure they catch any errors if there are. I mean, sure there are going to be errors. That's the plan. I'm not paying for a developmental editor. I just don't think obviously I would love to work with one, but because this is my first book, I have critique partners, I have beta readers, I just didn't think it was worth the investment into getting a dev editor. The second book expense, I think it's going to be the most expensive cost I have, and that's the book cover. This book cover, I went back and forth so many times in my head on what I wanted to look like. And obviously I'm keeping things pretty general right now and pretty high level, so I'm not really explaining it myself, so thanks for bearing with me. It's just that I don't want to say it yet. So this genre has a lot of different cover conventions, and I kind of didn't like any of them. At first I was going to settle on one for ebook and another for paperback, but then I realized I didn't like either of those designs. I went back and forth with myself a lot. My entire Instagram feed is filled with cover designers right now because I was looking so intensely into it, trying to see what other conventions are used for this genre. Because I would be an indie author and no one knows who I am. I want the book to sell itself just by someone looking at the cover. If you look at the cover, I want you to exactly know what this genre is. So when it's on KU, people are looking around, like they'll be like, okay, I know what this is. So that's really, really important to me. And I will prioritize that over if I like the cover or not. Of course, I still kind of want to like the cover. So I finally found a cover that I like. It's kind of like a sub-genre of one of the, it's not sub-genre, like I said, there's like 3 main conventions. It's like a sub-version of one of the conventions. And I actually DM'd the cover designer. She's going to be expensive. She has worked with Macmillan, with Sourcebooks, with Tor. So I know she's going to be over like $1,000. I'm thinking that her cost will be like $1,500. I mean, I really hope not. I budgeted $1,000. I think it's gonna be over $1,000, and I hope she gets back to me. I don't really know. I was like, I don't know. I got really sad because she hasn't responded to me yet, and I emailed her. I DM'd her on Thursday late afternoon, because her Instagram page said books like commissions open, but there was no link. There was nothing. I literally looked everywhere. I Googled it. I Googled her. I looked through all her links in Linktree. I didn't see a single thing, so I hope I can just DM her. Yeah, she's gonna be expensive, so I don't really know how much it'll cost. So I just asked her for a quote. Anyway, that's gonna be super, super expensive, but I love her covers. Okay, moving on. Another book expense I think I'll have is just getting proof copies. I'm estimating I'll get 2 proof copies. That's a random expense. I put like $15 for that. I have 2 publishing expenses. The first is ISBNs, so you have to buy your own ISBNs if you're not a Canadian resident. I am a Canadian citizen, but I'm not living in Canada right now, and I don't feel comfortable getting a free Canadian ISBN because I'm not living there, because then I would have to put like a friend's address or a family member's address, and that would be where my publishing house exists. Obviously, because I'm not living in Canada, taxes and stuff. So anyway, I don't feel comfortable getting the free ISBNs unless I move back there. So we're gonna have to buy ISBNs in bulk. I hate that there's only the option of 10 or kind of 1. 10 ISBNs sounds like way too much. I wish they sold a pack of 5, but the pack of 10 is worth like 2.5 ISBNs. They pretty much make you buy the 10. 10 ISBNs cost $295, so that's an expense. Vellum is also another expense for publishing in general. That's $250. Vellum is a formatting software. Obviously, you can format it by hiring someone, or you can do it in Microsoft Word, but I've seen demos and tutorials of Vellum, and I think that would be really useful for me. Total for costs would be $2,155. $2,100. $2,100. That's so much money. My goal, if I self-publish, when I do it, hopefully I'll do it 2028. My goal really is to earn out and earn back the money. I was talking to one of my friends when I was in Toronto. We did like a all-day writing session. She was like, Kelly, you might not make any money if you self-publish. And I was like, I know. She said, most authors want to earn back their money. And I was like, yeah, I know. I know this is not, there's so much risk putting in. I mean, it's the $1,000 cover. Like, who really gets $1,000 covers? Like, maybe, I know you don't need to tell me. Maybe I'm being delusional, but I really love that artist. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I really just want to earn back the money I put into it, to earn back $2,100. I mean, I am adding in the ISBN and Vellum, but I just thought that wouldn't make sense, because so far I would have only published one book. It's not like I can divide the ISBNs by 5 books, because I haven't published 5 books. So to make back $2,100, I mean, every royalty would be different depending on, I don't know yet, because it will depend on the size of the book, the color of the paper, a lot of different stuff. But I think I would have to sell 1,000 copies to make back $2,100, and most indie authors don't sell past $250, and I believe most traditionally published authors don't sell, I don't want to say a bad number, I think it's $300. No, it can't be 3,000. I think it's 3,000. I think most trad pub authors don't sell more than 3,000 copies. So to sell 1,000 copies, either through ebook, KU, I mean, that's a whole other thing. Your rate for KU is different depending on the month. Anyway, I also did a lot of research on categories and keywords. If I want to do ads, I did a lot of research on Amazon ads. I don't think I'm going to do ads. Yeah, I didn't even put in the marketing costs for this. Maybe I can budget $300 for that. I don't know, $200, because I do want to send out some PR boxes, 5 to 7, I think. Would that even make a difference? I don't even know. I had at one point wanted to hire a PR company. I had it on my list and I deleted them because they were too expensive and they weren't taking on clients. So many decisions to make, and I don't have money. I had a list of cover artists and cover ideas before I honed in on the one lady that I hope she responds to me. So yeah, I talked a lot, right? So that's this book. But we are putting all this indie stuff on pause while I work on the young adult fantasy that I want to query. With me, I'm the type of person that I'll get so into something that's all I think about, and then the moment it deviates from my ideal and my dream, I start kind of spiraling. And I felt myself kind of doing that with this cover artist because she hadn't responded to me. I messaged her late Thursday, it's Saturday morning, and I was freaking out. I was okay, I shouldn't even be thinking about this right now. I'm not publishing this for a long time. I should be working on the young adult fantasy. So we're working on the young adult fantasy, but these are just all the updates. long video. I think this might just be a dedicated update video. So we're gonna move on now to short stories and poems. So in my last video, I said I wanted to submit to more short stories and poems. Submit more short stories and poems to magazines, and I did that, and I got 2 acceptances. I signed the contract, but I have no idea. I have no clue when those pieces are gonna be released. They are an online magazine, so everything's free to read. So I will let you know when I know. And surprisingly, I got all my other pending submissions back to me. I got a lot of rejections, which is totally normal. So I think I got 3 rejections, 2 acceptances, and that R&R I did, I got rejected. I knew it, I called it, not to bring bad juju into the world, but I just knew that I didn't think the piece was good. Honestly, I feel Ooh, that piece, like I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about it anymore. I say this with a lot of like my short stories. I write short stories when I'm in like a particular mood and I have a certain feel and it's something I want to tell in that moment. But the more I like go back and like edit it and stuff like that, I lose that understanding like or that reason for why I wrote it in the first place. So with the short story that went back and forth with the editor for over 3 months, only for it to get rejected, now I just don't think, I don't know how I feel about it. Like I feel like the original was just as good as the way it is now because the original was how I wanted the story to be. It's the vision I had. Not that this version isn't good either, but it definitely adds more because the original was just a flash. It was like 800 something words. Now it's like 1400. Yeah, I probably would like to submit it elsewhere, but I don't know where yet. And I'm so focused on this like young adult fantasy right now and I was focused on, everything publishing for indie stuff. I haven't been really focused on submitting, but I need to submit more. I am in a Discord with other writers from the Augur team, and someone asked in the Discord how to deal with rejections because they were getting a lot of rejections. And I thought that was funny because I got like all those magazine rejections on the same day, that day and the day after. So I guess they were trying to wrap up their queue before February. That's what I was assuming, because I was like, wow, I got so many rejections. Someone's pinging in this Discord about rejections. And I honestly like couldn't respond to the thread of how to deal with rejections because I don't know how I deal with rejections really. I did make a video on how it's okay to get more rejections, but rejection is just such a part of writing. And I think that like I also like didn't know how to say all this without sounding, I don't know, mean or too brutal. You will get rejected. I think you should, whenever you submit something, you should be under the mindset that you're gonna get rejected. And it's actually so rare to get accepted. It is so rare. And I don't know if I have this mentality. Actually, my friend, the friend I talk about a lot, the one who I met up with when we did the whole day writing session, she also beta read and critiqued the first chapter of this book. She's like on a whole other level, and maybe I get some of these feels from her because she doesn't give a single fork if she gets rejected. She doubles down and she submits even more. She's like so hardcore. So I feel like I get a bit of that from my friend. There's no emotional reason to get upset. It's a numbers game. So objectively, like pragmatically, I understand that. And you should just, I feel like, try to understand that you will get rejected and it's really rare to get accepted. Also, it's okay to feel sad to get rejected. Like that rejection, even though I worked with the editor for like 3 months, obviously it was disappointing to hear that I didn't get accepted because I had like slogged through those edits, but you kind of just feel it, let yourself feel it, and then you move on. Obviously, I am disappointed. You can't deny that you're not disappointed or you get sad when you get a rejection, but it's not the end of the world. That doesn't mean your piece is bad and it's a numbers game and you just keep submitting. And that's why I think that when I query, which I do have a list of agents I want to query already, I don't know how upset I'll be. I think I'm going to talk about like 2 more things before we wrap this video. This video is definitely going to be its own standalone update. I wanted to talk about my like publishing scenarios, like the future of my writing career, like where it will go, because there's currently 3 scenarios right now, and I'll explain them. I'll just go ahead and explain them. So the first scenario right now is that I query and I don't get an agent. In that case, what am I going to write next? If I don't get an agent, I think I might not try pursuing TradPub for a while. And it's not because I don't like TradPub. It's not because like I've given up. I just think that I want to be so focused on these books that it's just going to take most of my attention. And this is not spec. That's probably clear already. And I want to only publish spec with TradPub, like trad publishers. I think that just aligns more with what I want. And I don't have many ideas in spec after. Okay, so second scenario is I get an agent, but my book doesn't sell. In that case, like what do I write next? 100%, I think my agent will try to convince me to go on sub with this book, but I'm saying it now and I will just keep saying this unless like someone offers me like $1 million. I want to self-publish this. So this book is not for grabs, really. So that means I'll probably have to write something spec next. If I got my agent with a young adult fantasy, I think I'll have to write something spec next. What do I want to write? What do I want to write? That's in speculative, the fantasy, science fiction fan. I don't know. I don't know. I could probably revise an adult sci-fi idea I've had. This is like my longest standing idea I've ever had. This is the first book I've ever wrote. I could probably revise that. But do I want to, and how do I do that while working on these books? I don't know. And then the third scenario, which I think is like the furthest from me right now, and is a blessing, honestly, if I were to get that, but it would also cause me a lot of trouble and headaches. And that's if I get an agent and I sell my young adult fantasy, what am I going to work on next? Am I going to be expected to write another young adult fantasy? I have like 1% of a young adult fantasy idea that I came up with 2 years ago. I have the query for it. I can't write that from scratch. Like, how am I going to work on these books while doing these books simultaneously if I get the trad pub route? Like, I don't know. So what I'm doing right now is that I'm operating on scenario 1 because I don't have an agent, and I'm just going to query this book whenever it's ready, and we're going to full-blown steam work on these books because that's what I'm currently obsessed with. I'm in love with these characters, and I would love to jumpstart the self-pub career. I want to do not a rapid release, but I want to get the first 2 books ready so they can be released maybe within 4 months of each other, and then do the 3rd book a year later, the 4th book a year. I don't know yet, but yeah. We've talked a long time, and the last topic that I want to talk about, it's reading. So I've been doing a lot of reading. My goal for 2026 is to read 26 books because I feel like I haven't read in so long. So we have read, oh my god, I feel like I'm conjugating right now. I just finished Axios, The Floating World. So good. It was so good. I was reading it for kind of 3 purposes. 1 is like research on the young adult fantasy market. 2 is vocal training. Vocal training is what R.F. Kuang or Rebecca Kuang says when you try to emulate a book in your genre, and you emulate that writing and you emulate that style and tone. So a little bit of vocal training. And 3rd was just like pure amusement. Like, I haven't read a YA fantasy in so long, and it was so good. All I'm gonna say is justice for JL. Chael is a Korean name. And the book I want to read next, I have 2. I don't read multiple books at once. That's why I talk about like my list like this. I can't read multiple books at once. I already have multiple books of my own that I want to write. Like, I can't have too many stories in my head. So I'm either gonna read Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, because that cover, I want it. It's a small town romance, so yeah, pretty good to read for me. And the other book I kind of want to read, I think it's going to be Off With Their Heads by Zoe Hanamakuda. That one is a young adult fantasy, and it could potentially be a comp to my book, and I want to read that book so I can maybe comp it. I don't know which one I want to read right now. I did just finish a YA fantasy, and that makes me not want to read another YA fantasy because I don't like to read. I have to break up my reading effectively. That's what I'm trying to say. But the vocal training was so good, and I got so many good ideas from Floating World that I put into my book as well. So I feel like, I don't know yet. I'm gonna decide soon, because I'm actually going to New York City to meet up with Cindy and some other friends for writing and dinner. And I would like to read something on the way there. Yep. Okay. So I think we're gonna wrap up the video now. This is probably 40 minutes. I don't even know. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This has been actually really, really fun. Yeah, hopefully more videos to come. And if you liked it, if you made it all the way here, thank you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.